starting on Prime Video with a new series which arrived on Thursday, the 11th of July. It's called Sausage Party, Foodtopia. And here's a clip.
Food is now the dominant species on Earth.
And as long as this brainy little dude is on our side, we can't lose.
We started a revolution and made this happen.
This is what life is going to be like from now on. Living in perfect harmony.
There is nothing that can stop us.
So, Hannah, I'm sure you're more than familiar with the animated film Sausage Party, and from which this is a spin-off. I didn't see the original film, but it's from the team who made one of my all-time favourite movies of all time, mate, Superbad. Yes. So it's from Seth Rogen and his regular collaborator, Evan Goldberg. And the original movie, despite being an animation, it was very rude. There's a lot of sex and bad language in it. But the premise of it, a nice idea, was that foodstuffs suddenly became aware of kind of the awfulness of their existence, that, you know, they were just going to be chewed up and excreted by humans. So they decide that there must be more to life than this, and they kind of rise up and rebel. And so, yeah, there's some familiar voices that you will recognise, or you'll have fun identifying it. So the two main characters are a sausage, as you'd suspect, called Frank, and he's voiced by Seth Rogen, who's got such a distinctive voice, hasn't he? And Funny Bones. Then his girlfriend, of course, is a finger bap. Why not? There's some good stuff, and what they've done as well is kind of they've given the different foodstuffs kind of racial characteristics. So, for instance, Ed Norton does a very amusing Woody Allen impression as a bagel. And like the potato is Irish, you get the gist. So it's very unusual. I mean, there are rude animations about, for instance, Archer on Netflix, which is really good, and the fantastic Rick and Morty, also on Netflix. This is slightly different. It's a really good idea, and some great characters. I particularly like there's a piece of bubble gum in a wheelchair, which is a character kind of inspired by Stephen Hawking, in that this character is the brains of the operation and speaks through one of those sort of computer voice boxes. At the beginning of the series, an 8-part series, foodstuffs have risen up and rebelled against the humans, and they overcome the last human in episode 1, this great big fat guy. They think they're going to live in a foodtopia, you know, a utopia for foodstuffs. But then something happens. Tragedy strikes. I won't say what. And then we go off on this adventure. It is funny, but there are elements of the comedy, I would say, that are quite puerile. Like there's a lot of scenes of foodstuffs having sex with each other in quite sort of graphic way. So, I mean, you either find that funny or you don't. It's quite kind of schoolboyish humour, isn't it? But there's plenty to recommend it, and I enjoyed episode 1, and I enjoyed spotting all the guest voices, Salma Hayek, Paul Rudd, people like that. So yeah, it's very, very imaginative and unusual, but I didn't find all of it funny, but I found enough of it funny to entertain me. What did you think, Hannah?
It's quite random, isn't it? I mean, it really is quite random. A whole thing about, well, not just sausages, as you say, there are baps and all kind of different foodie characters. And I suppose you've got some, you know, decent names in there voicing, haven't you, like Seth Rogen? And I suppose when you get people like that on board, it kind of brings those animations, those kind of like objects, items, food, whatever you want to call it, it brings them to life, I suppose. But I think what you said is right. It's very much sort of schoolboy, schoolgirl humour, isn't it? It's not particularly grown up in any places, and I do think a certain person will like it and a certain person won't like it, will just go completely over the head. So I think there's enough. I mean, I quite enjoyed it. Thought it was quite funny from what I've seen, but I don't know how long that can play out for before it gets a little bit sort of wearing, a little bit tedious, and I don't know, filthy sausages. It's a bit odd, isn't it?